Good day, Magandang araw, Guten Tag, Buenos dias, whatever language you speak. Hopefully you speak English because that's what we're going to be speaking. And thank you for joining us live and thank you for watching the replay. I'll get to your questions and comments quick. But last night I got to thinking about something, kind of an interesting fact about me that not everyone would know. I was thinking about a very unique experience that I had a few years back, and this happened in the Philippines. What many people would not know about me is I once fought in a professional boxing match in the Philippines. And this is really something it's considered a professional match because we are paid. I'll get to how much we were paid later. But basically what happened is when I came back to the Philippines, when I moved back to the Philippines, I was out of shape and I wanted to start doing some more cardiovascular stuff to help trim a few pounds. And I knew there was a boxing team in the town where I was staying. I wasn't staying in Manila at that time. And I'd done some boxing training in the Philippines in the past in Manila, but mostly just pad work, bag work, that kind of thing. I have a martial arts background, but not in boxing. I just used to train it where I didn't really do much sparring, just mostly bag and pad work. So I talked to the local boxing coach in this town and said, I'd like to get in shape. I'm way out of shape right now. Maybe I can come work out with your team and stuff and train a little bit. All I was thinking about was training and just losing a few pounds and getting in a little bit better shape. But he said, oh, we're not training right now. But I tell you what, there's going to be a fight in this neighboring town. We can make you the main event. We'll put you in a professional boxing match. And I said, whoa, hey, I'm so out of shape. I just want to train and lose a few pounds. Now you're talking about throwing me in a professional boxing match with no competitive boxing experience whatsoever in front of this big crowd of people. And I'm like, no, I'm a brave guy, but I'm a smart guy. And with no background, and you don't know if you're being set up to being in a foreign country, whether they're going to make you look like a fool or like put you in there against someone really good, which did happen, by the way. But somehow he talked me into this. And they even said, like I said, at one point, someone said, not the main guy is talking to, but they said, if you're really worried, we can fix it so you even win. And I said, hey, I don't want any part of that. If I'm going to do this fight, I want it to be totally legit. But I agreed to do an exhibition match. And an exhibition match is not the same kind of thing where, it's more about putting on a show. So in other words, we're not trying to kill each other. We're just trying to put on a show, get a little bit of exercise, feel each other out, but not necessarily bash each other's brains out. But I always know what happens with these things because I know a lot of fighters. I have a background in that, even if it's not boxing, is what happens is even if things set out to be an exhibition, rarely do they stay in exhibition. It ends up one guy hits the other guy a little bit hard, and then the other guy feels he needs to retaliate. So he hits the other guy back hard. And then that guy gets a little angry, and he has to show him that he has to hit him back harder. And it goes back and forth until it turns into a full-out brawl. So they found me an opponent. They searched for opponents, and it turned out this guy was a former champion boxer. And I'm going like, geez, even though this is supposed to be an exhibition match, I don't know. I knew they were setting me up against a guy that's really good, a former champion. And I've never even fought a boxing match myself. And this is not like Conor McGregor, who had never fought maybe it is a little bit, who had never fought a boxing match ever and goes up against a really good boxer. But it's always in your mind, too. You could be getting set up. And they found this guy. He was actually a lot smaller than me because they had problems finding a guy that was the right size. And I figured if worse comes to worse, I knew it was a short fight. It wasn't like a full regulation fight. It was a fairly short fight, which I was glad because I wasn't in shape to do a regular fight. I hadn't been training at all. So I figured if worse comes to worse, I'm a wrestler. I can clinch the guy. I can hold him. I can stall. I can waste time. As long as he doesn't just hit me with one good shot and knock me totally unconscious. If I start getting hit a lot and I start getting hurt, I'm just going to grab him, clinch him, hold him, and waste as much time as possible and let the clock run out. So that was the plan if I ever got into any trouble. But I got in there. They actually had a very large crowd for this thing. And I've competed in front of some very large crowds before. For example, when I was a junior in high school and I was wrestling in the state championships that they held in my town that year, it was held in front of a sold-out stadium, the Bismarck Civic Center. That was bigger than this crowd that I fought in front of in the Philippines. But it was a very big crowd, and I actually got an extremely warm welcome from the local people. It's not like where you see like in Rocky 4 where Rocky goes to Russia and people are like booing him and throwing trash at him as he walks out to fight the Russian. So the local people, they were very welcoming. And I actually have a link. Here's the thing too. I don't think most people would really believe or understand how this happened. But thankfully, I documented it all on video and I released it on YouTube. There's actually a link in the description that you can check out later. But it was in front of a pretty good-sized crowd, and I'm not going to give away the ending to the fight, whether I won or lost. You'll have to watch the video, but I will say this. It had an extremely Filipino ending, but that's maybe one of the craziest things about me, probably one of the weirdest facts about me, that I fought in a professional boxing match in the Philippines. But really, I kind of consider it more of like a semi-pro thing because it was an exhibition, even though I kind of assumed things were going to get out of hand because that's typically what happens. But because it was kind of an exhibition, I consider it semi-pro. And also with the amount of money that I was paid to fight in this thing, it was so low, it was funny. Like at the time, it was like 1,000 pesos or 1,500 pesos. And at that time, with the exchange rate, that's like $20. So how crazy is that? You go to a foreign country and you're going to fight a champion fighter for a fee of like $20. Who does that? But that was one of the most interesting and one of the most fun times of my life because I've spent 14 years, I believe, of my life competing at a very high level in wrestling. But I never enjoyed a single match because there was always pressure about winning. So I just couldn't have fun and enjoy it. But with that, I actually had fun. I decided I was going to have fun. I was going to enjoy it. Even though I was very out of my element, and if you're going to fight a striking fight and you're not trained in that and you're going up against a good striker, not a very smart thing to do, but it was an adventure. Like I said, I'm not going to say whether I won or lost, but there's a link in the description for it. You can check that out. And we have my sidekick joining us.
Hi there, guys. How are you?
Supergirl here.
To everyone who are in America, happy Thanksgiving, belated.
We also have a link in the description to see some highlights from our trip in America, which a lot of you guys saw. We have some people in the room. Peter Rocco, Casual Germ, Paul Putnam, the Dave Horner says Kamustaka, Mabuti, Jao Busi, One Lonely Farmer. He says, good morning, or should I say good evening? Well, I started this out by saying good day because I don't know where it is, where everyone is. We're kind of trying and time these to the United States, but even the United States is a big variation, 3-hour difference between the West Coast and East Coast. That can make it very hard to type. Chris Vinci is in this. Well, very good to see you, Chris Vinci. He's been, I think, our longest supporter on Patreon. If you want to support our channel, and we really would appreciate it because I definitely need new equipment. I need a new computer, actually. This one's a couple years old, and I'm kind of hard on my computers because of all the intensive video editing that I do. So, and as you can see here, I'll show them. My keyboard doesn't work on the computer, so I have to plug this bad boy in, this cheap, like $2 keyboard is what I'm using plugged into mine. So I'm desperately in need of a new computer. So, but thank you guys for joining us. We haven't done one of these live streams in a while, and I figured it's a good time to do it because I've been wanting to do one for a while and talk to you guys, but it's also the holiday, Thanksgiving. We had a short Thanksgiving Day vlog. I think that was your first time to ever celebrate Thanksgiving, is
Right,
that right?
right.
And you ate a lot of turkeys, and you're not used to eating turkey because it's not a common animal here that you get to eat. So what'd you think?
Well, the turkey I tried at a Thanksgiving party, by the way, thank you, Irene and John Blackwell, was very good compared to the other turkey that I tried in some buffets. So it was really good. I think the sauce was very good.
Terrence Brown is here. He's also been supporting us on Patreon for a long time. Thank you very much. Like I said, I need some new equipment. We have expenses running this. People don't realize that. They think that we don't. But I have.
I remember someone said, where did I hear this? I'm trying to recall. Vlogging does not really cost a lot. Is my face really cut off?
I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
I'm trying to see. I think my face has
Yeah,
been.
you said you heard someone say vlogging doesn't cost a lot. Well, that can be true or cannot. It depends what you're trying to do. When I moved here, and this is part of what I talked about, I'm not sure if I cut it out in that vlog from earlier in the week where I did that talk at the University of Santo Tomas. Um, when I moved here, I found out very quick because I saved up for 2 years. I think that's in the video. Which if you go back a couple vlogs, the one before the Thanksgiving, you'll see that. The one after watch the Subic Bay one, then watch the one where we talk at UST. But before I moved here, my background, I saved up for 2 years. And then when I got here, I started making all these videos, and I found out if you want to do high-end documentaries and stuff, you are going to be spending money, and it's very easy to go broke making YouTube videos. That's what I found out. So you can definitely spend a lot because it's hard to get money back out of the videos unless you have sponsors. You can very much easily go into debt or go broke making YouTube videos.
That is why we really appreciate our Patreon family because they know and they're supporting us. So thank you so much.
Peter Rocco says he bought the book on Amazon, which he's talking about my book, which is actually a guide to moving to the Philippines. And I actually wrote that because of just getting bombarded with so many emails every day saying, I saw you move to the Philippines successfully. How did you do it? And what these people really want to know is not how I did it so much, because I can tell you that. But the thing is, a lot of the ways that I did it, they might not help you. So what you really want to know is how can I, meaning you, do it? So I wrote a guide for people with that in mind. And it's not necessarily an easy thing, and you definitely have to make sacrifices. I talk about that in the book. You're going to have to give up some things most likely, and it's also to help you determine whether it's right for you, because a lot of people that tell me they want to move to the Philippines, and I say, okay, why? And then when they tell me the reason why, I'm like, well, geez, you could have that right where you are. So it'll help people determine, but the bottom line is if you want to move to the Philippines, if you really think you want to do it, you need to just do it. Because worst case scenario, you can always move back to wherever you're from. Unless you do some things that I see a lot of people doing, but I'll probably talk about that in a separate video later.
Before we move on, let's say hi to the other wonderful people joining us right now. Casual Germ, I like how you wrote Imabelle. There you go. And congratulations to Peter Rocco because he said he just got back from Cebu and he got engaged to his GF there. Wow, congratulations. Keller Celius is joining us tonight as well. And go ahead, Travis.
Well, I want to scroll back here in the comments because before we even started, before we actually started the stream, people were leaving comments. And Casual Germ said he wrote the book. It's got some good dang info in it. And he says, I really liked the part where you tell the reader about the potential financial worries. To me, that's the most important. And it's kind of funny that he brings that up because I'm currently reading a book. I'm actually almost been done, but for the past couple weeks, I've been reading a book that I've really enjoyed. It's really been valuable. Now, everything in this book, and I'll tell you what that is. I'll tell you what that is here in a minute. But everything in this book that I've been reading for the past couple weeks, it's all things that I've heard before. However, I'm a big proponent of it's not necessarily something you don't need to worry about things you've never heard before. Usually, the most important information, they're things that you've heard before, things that you already know, but you need to hear it again. Sometimes you need to hear things 7, 8, 9 times before you actually go into action and do it, or sometimes you need to hear it from the right person. My dad is one of those people. I know, like strangers, they could tell me something all day long, but I'm probably not going to follow that advice. But if my dad says something, then I'm going to take it very seriously because I consider the source it's coming from. But I've been reading this book, and it's all stuff that I hear a lot of other people say. None of it's new information to me, but I'd say it's a very valuable book, a very great book. And that book is How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And I actually have a link in the description. I think you have to click, and it's the link all the way at the bottom. So if you want to check that book out by someone else, by Dale Carnegie, who wrote a few classic books. But everything in this book, it's stuff I've heard before. I've heard this from speakers such as Joel Osteen. Even recently, you showed me a video of Joseph Prince, who we attended his church in Singapore like a year ago. But Joseph Prince, you shared this video with me like a few weeks ago, and it was exactly pretty much the stuff that's talked about in this book. So I don't know who originally came up with this. This information and advice, some of it's been around for actually thousands of years, and it keeps getting repeated and repeated. But people need to hear it. Even if you've heard it, you should hear it again. So,
Well,
go ahead.
personally, yeah, people will hear it over and over again because it's really meant to be like that. Since you mentioned about Joseph Prince, Pastor Joseph Prince, what his message is based on the Bible, like biblical message, the scripture. So anyone who reads the Bible or anyone who really spends time to contemplate on God's word would also know and realize that this message is actually there. So I think I'm just personally amazed that if you simply read the Bible, you really get not a lot, but priceless wisdom from it. So, but all these other books are available to read that could uplift us, that could educate us. But I'm not trying to preach, but I'm just sharing my personal experience, and I share this with Travis every day. That when you really read the Bible, that is the best book ever.
So if you want to check out that book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, and I think this is very important advice because I'm someone that's struggled and had a lot of issues with worry in the past. I think it's kind of my natural nature to be a worrier. Now I've stopped the worrying, or at least I probably cut back on my worrying 90% maybe. I did that maybe a few years ago. I have like some older videos from 2 or 3 years ago where I talked about that, where I talked about getting over like constantly worrying about money or worrying about if things are going to work out for you. And what I found is when I stopped worrying, it made getting other things or things working out for me, it made it go a lot easier. So everyone needs to learn how to stop worrying. But this book, even though it's a very old book, and that's part of the beauty of it, it's a very old book. I think it was written in the late 40s or early 50s. So a lot of the stories you hear from people, they're from World War II, or they're from people that went through the Great Depression. And it really helps you put things in perspective of how right now we live in the easiest time in all of human history. So many people are negative these days and going crazy, and they'll tell you the sky is falling and tell you all these things we need to worry about. But if you hear stories like even from my grandma when she was alive, but my grandpa and my grandma, my grandpa, I remember he said to me one time, me and your grandmother, we lived through the hardest times of this country, the two hardest times, the Great Depression and World War II. So if you talk to people from that have lived through that and you hear their stories, it'll totally make you put things in perspective and realize just how easy and how good we have things. Even when we were watching History Channel the other day and they were talking about the Great Potato Famine in Ireland and how many, what a big percentage of the population of Ireland starved to death. I was watching that going, geez, thank God I don't have to worry about starving to death. That's the least of my concerns. I don't have to worry about starving to death. I eat these days the average person, even people from lower ends of society, if you're in a first world country like America, they eat better than kings did a couple hundred years ago. You can go to a grocery store in America, or even really here in the Philippines even, and get food from almost anywhere in the world. You can get things that would have been exotic foods that you'd never get to taste a long time, 200 years ago. So it just shows you just how amazing we live. We're eating better than kings did a couple hundred years ago.
Well, that is just a great reminder for us because I have noticed people, or I would say young people, they easily get bored. Like that's like their main concern in life. Oh, it's boring. I'm bored. What should I
And we dealt
do?
with some young people this
Yes,
week.
but
You can tell them about that. I'll
before
get a
moving
drink.
on to that, let me just add something to what Travis already shared about his grandparents. My grandma also, of course, a Filipina. I always love her stories about those times when she experienced how it was to live during the Japanese occupation in the Philippines. She told me about how they would run for their life. Like, say, when people tell them, hey, the Japanese are here, so they gotta run. They have to go to the forest or the jungle, wherever they could hide. And of course, they have to survive there. They don't have food. They have to, I guess, find something to eat. They didn't have shampoo. My grandmother told me that they had to use some kind of blend that I can't remember, just for them to be able to use something to take a bath, maybe like for to use as a soap or a shampoo. So right now we have everything available. You just go to the supermarket and you can get something to eat. You just either microwave it, it's ready to eat. So if we try to think of all these things, we would really know and realize how blessed we are just to have everything that we have right now in this time and age.
And you're talking about young people and stuff. We had an issue this week with some young people. There was some that started stalking me and harassing me on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
What happened is they watched one of my YouTube videos, and then, like idiots, they got offended by it because they're too dumb to even understand what I was talking about. It's that one I've had it's been getting a lot of traffic. I think it's called "Don't Bring Filipino Scumbags to America" or "Stop Bringing Filipino Scumbags to America," which was a very good video. And I even said in it, this video is going to offend people, but it's only going to offend people that are either scumbags or they're too dumb to understand what I'm saying. So a lot of people, I've been getting a lot of bad comments on that because people are too dumb to understand, or they don't even actually watch the video. But we had some people, they watched that video, then they came to my Instagram and started harassing me. And normally I don't even talk back, but I guess I was kind of bored, so I said a few things back to
Bored.
them. I said a few things back to them. I didn't swear at them or I didn't use any kind of vulgar language, nothing like that. I was just kind of being typical Travis that you don't always see in my videos because everyone thinks I'm this very nice, positive, happy guy, and I am. But I also have a fun-loving part of my fun-loving side is I kind of like to get a rise to people, and I like to sometimes, play around with some clever insults. But I said a few things back to them, and they really got offended then. And then one of them said, well, then they started saying, because I mentioned something about them being filthy animals, like, I left a comment, then hashtag filthy animals. And they said, that's a racial remark. You're making a racist remark. And it's like, first of all, I called you filthy animals because of how you're behaving. That's how you're behaving. Second of all, how could I even know what your race is? I can't see you. You have fake profile pics. Who knows could be on the other end. And then they complained, you're talking to a 13-year-old like this. It's like, how could I even know you're 13 years old? I can't see your pictures. You're using fake profile pictures. One actually didn't. She was a chubby young girl. And there's that expression, those that live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. So if you're a chubby, fugly young girl, you shouldn't be throwing those stones because you're very easy to hurt. But they said, we're young people. How can you do this? First of all, I don't know how old you are. There's no possible way I could know that. Second of all, I was thinking, how entitled are these young kids these days? First of all, when I was 13, I would have never, we didn't have Instagram then, obviously, but I would have never even thought to like write a letter cussing at and harassing an adult person. I wouldn't even think to do that. Second of all, how entitled are they that they think they should go around stalking and harassing people, but if someone says something back to them that hurts their feelings, they think that's not right, and they said, "You're bullying me." They said, "You're bullying me." Bullying you? Are you insane? You came to bully me, and someone stands up to you. But that's how these kids are brainwashed these days. Like, there's that stereotype, which I'm not around too many young kids, so it's hard for me to say whether it's true. I'm just saying it seems like the case from what I've been hearing by their behavior of that sense of entitlement. I should go around, get to behave however I want, behave like an animal, harass people, and they shouldn't be allowed to say anything back. And if they do say something that hurts my feelings, he's a bully and he should apologize. Now, I quit talking to him, but Imabelle then actually, sweet Imabelle, she went on and she talked to him in a much more diplomatic way than me. I'm good with words, but I'm good at, I guess, insulting people. That's part of growing up with an older brother. You learn how to insult people. It's like just a constant back and forth of constant insults when you grow up with an older brother. But Imabelle actually talked to him, and even though they were still really dumb, like she kind of they realized they were wrong to do what they did. I think so.
Well, he eventually apologized. He said sorry for what he said towards you, but somehow he was still consistent with just, he was saying that he got offended as Filipino, which I didn't get. And I told
And I never
him,
said anything
no
about him being
one,
Filipino, anyways.
yeah,
I didn't even know
no
that he is.
one or no Filipino was was offended or should have been offended by it. And he actually started following me on Instagram.
Now
And
you have a new fan out of
I
it.
know, I just simply talked to him. I don't know, I just did what I have to do, and I'm just glad because he actually responded in a positive way. It sounded positive, although he still seems stubborn
He still thinks that I
and
racially insult him, which it's
narrow-minded.
how could I know?
So
I don't know what your picture is, and even if you had a picture, I wouldn't know it's really you. Most likely, I, I never said anything about his race.
it just blows my mind how some young people, some kids nowadays could easily go on the internet, go online, leave unpleasant, filthy comments, and expect to be respected. Because they were like,
They said you should show respect to me. It's like, are
they said we deserve respect, and I
No,
said,
you don't.
okay, let me tell you this. You went to your Instagram page, started leaving unpleasant,
Really
disrespectful,
nasty
filthy
ones, yeah,
comments,
filthy.
and that's how you expect to get respect. And then
No one's gonna respect
this
you like that.
one girl that you were talking about, he was he she actually cussed at me, and I said, is that what your parents teach you? Is it how you should talk? And then she said, my parents don't care about it. Like, my parents don't care, so I can just write or speak like this. So it's just sad. Like, that is also a very good reminder for parents to be more responsible and not just leave our kids with their gadgets, entertain themselves or learn discipline through these gadgets and through internet and all these social media. Because what's going to happen to our world in the future? What's going to happen to the world that will be left to our children, grandchildren, great grandchildren? Like, when I really read these comments, the movie that we watched, what's that again?
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy was like, oh my God, it's really so alarming. What's gonna happen to the future? I mean, these kids should learn. These kids should discipline. Myself, I'm not perfect. I still need. It's like it's a journey to really keep improving yourself. But these kids, where's discipline? Where are the values? What's happening to
Well, it
them?
kind of reminds me of like one of the early scenes in the movie Rocky, the first Rocky movie, where he comes across this young girl in the neighborhood that's swearing, and he explains to her, if you talk like that, you're gonna sound like a whore. and people don't respect whores. No one's going to respect you. That's a scene that more kids need to watch, I think. But Joey Galan says, "Hey Travis, buddy, looks like you're drinking out of a baby bottle. This is actually, I don't know if you can
In
see it.
Filipino, it's called chupon.
It's a water bottle. It's a YouTube water bottle. They gave it to us at one of the YouTube events that we
Baby
went to.
bottle is chupon in Filipino.
But I am a big baby, and if you could see me from the waist down, I'm actually wearing a diaper. So
Feeling
I'm
baby.
seeing
Let me just add to what I was already talking about. But I kind of felt this inch of anger towards them, but most of what I felt was pity towards these kids. They really need more love. They really need more attention and the right kind of attention.
They need some hard
And
love,
I think we
like
also,
tough love.
yeah, I mean,
I think.
when I was their age, whenever I misbehaved, I got a lot of spanking, and I think that helped. But these kids, if you spank them through your words, they're like, "You're bullying me." I mean, words, and you get spanked physically or like by words. These really would help you to learn discipline.
My father never hit me. My dad never hit me. And the reason my dad never hit me is because he got a lot of whoopings from his father. So he knows what it feels like, and he didn't want to expose me to that. So he never hit me. But I do believe some children probably do need to be hit. So maybe if we could get my grandpa to deal with these kids, he'd probably beat the living heck out of them, and maybe they need that. Maybe I didn't need it as a kid because I wasn't that bad. Like I said,
really?
Well, I had a few moments, and not everyone thought I was so great and so lovable. But I wasn't a bad kid by any means. Sometimes I was maybe misunderstood by my teachers and stuff. I got in a little bit of trouble. Nothing too serious, definitely. It is like, I would say, misunderstandings. But like I said, I would never have thought to cuss out an adult or write a nasty letter to someone. Even like on YouTube comments, people take it for granted. I remember when I was a kid renting movies on VHS, and if I would have had something like the YouTube comments where I could have talked to my TV and had that message go to the director or producers or the actors in that movie, I would have thought that's amazing, but I definitely wouldn't have used it to say something nasty to them.
I think what the kids need also are good models. We have a
Yes.
lot of people online, on TV, that seem to be great people, but they are not necessarily great models to emulate for our kids. So they have easy access to all these things now, to videos, vlogs, etc., whatever content online.
We got Eric saying, "What's your Instagram handles?" Mine's at Travis Craft Official. What's yours?
I have to double check.
She doesn't use Instagram that much. We have the salon guy in the room. If you don't know the salon guy and you need to figure out some good stuff with your hair, definitely check out his channel, the salon guy. And if the salon guy ever comes to the Philippines, we will collaborate on some videos.
My Instagram should just be this, right? Is that right?
Imabelle, I guess hers is Imabelle Craft. You can show it. Let's see if it'll see. I'll try and show that on the camera. I don't know if it'll show though. There, Imabelle Craft is hers. If you can see it, maybe go to mine and I'll show them that.
I'm not really active on Instagram.
She's not that active. I haven't been that active lately either.
Yeah, I was surprised to have followers even before I started posting.
You can pull up mine and I'll show it on camera.
I guess they see it on Facebook or something, but it's good to to get in touch or to keep in touch with people, with friends and just everyone.
Casual Germ says he got whoopings too, and he wants to break away from his family history, so I guess he means he doesn't want to do that to his children. I don't know, maybe if my dad would have given me a whooping once in a while. Oh, did we Did we cut out, I think, for a
The
minute there?
stream status said for a
It's,
second
it
was
said we
bad.
it said we cut out there for a minute. Are you
Do
guys
you
with
do
us?
you still do you still hear us? Do you still see us, guys? Because we saw something like it was.
The salon guy says, "Do you celebrate Thanksgiving there?" Yeah, well, the average person does not celebrate Thanksgiving. We did. We went to a Thanksgiving Day party.
Americans who live in the
And
Philippines.
An Australian actually hosted it. I asked him if they celebrate Thanksgiving in Australia. He said, "Nope, we don't have anything to be thankful for in Australia." So I'll
But
get to
he
the other
hosted it.
questions here in a minute. Also, guys, if you want to really support us, Super Chat is enabled with that little $ down there. You can use that and get priority. Here's my Instagram, if you can see it. There you go. That's shut off. That's
You
my
just have to press.
Instagram.
There you go.
That's my Instagram if you guys are into Instagram. So there you go. For all you Instagram people out there, that's kind of getting to be the most popular, second most popular after
Yeah.
YouTube
I
social media thing.
I'm more frequent on Facebook. So yeah. There.
I'm less frequent on Facebook.
I try to be more active on Instagram, but I don't really use my phone for social media. I get to do social media stuff when I'm using my laptop. I don't know. I just didn't get used to really using my phone for that. I put I prioritize email and text messaging. I think I'm still very basic when it comes to that.
We got a question here. Hey Travis, what's the age of consent in the Philippines? Well, we were talking about this earlier today, actually, because I've tried to look this up before. It seems that there's some kind of gray areas, and it's not totally sure. But some people said that it's as young as age 12, which would make it one of the youngest ages of consent, probably in the entire world, actually. Definitely in this region, I would think. If it's 12, that's crazy. What should be a legal age of consent? I would say 18, although it kind of varies because I know in my home state in North Dakota, it's 18. So if you have, say, two people in high school, maybe a senior dating a junior, an 18-year-old and a 17-year-old, that could potentially be a crime happening. So there should be leeway. I think there's stricter punishments if it's someone over 21 with someone 17. But some states in America, I think in Michigan, where I went to college, I think the age of consent there was 16. Not that I was ever pursuing young girls. I wasn't a creepy college guy like trolling the high schools. But that's what I heard, that in Michigan it's 16. It kind of varies from state to state in America, but most states, I believe, are 18. But I heard in the Philippines it's age 12,
Well,
which is crazy.
that's an information we could actually double check. I could talk to my lawyer friends or.
So Anthony Weiner, when he gets out of prison, is probably going to be making a trip to the Philippines.
But you know what?
If
I'm not.
he tries to hire you to manage his tour, Imabelle, just say no.
One thing. Speaking of age, in the provinces, particularly the very remote areas, they have young girls as young as around 12 or 14, even 13, who already get pregnant. They already start a family.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cases like that.
Well, it happens
And
in.
they even they sorry
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt here. They even tend to make more babies because what else could they do in those areas? Some areas they don't have electricity at like starting at maybe 7 or 8 p.m. onwards.
Some people, they don't have electricity at all. They live full time in some of those areas. I've seen it with my own eyes, and it's unbelievable because it's like you go there and it's like you're in the 1800s or something.
Yeah.
So they have nothing to do. So when the sun goes down, they just do that. And now, of course, this does happen in the United States too, but not like here. Especially like you said in the provinces, it's more common because that's like their form of entertainment. It's much more. This country's still pretty primitive outside of Metro Manila and outside of Cebu. The reality is this country, and like you said, you go to those places and either they don't have electricity at a certain hour on certain days, or some people still live without electricity altogether. It's as hard as that is to believe for some people. It's crazy when you see it.
Right. Did we miss anyone's
I'm
message?
scrolling. I guess we missed a lot.
Maybe we can.
We had a question from the same guy that asked the question about consent. I don't know, maybe he's a creep asking these questions. Kind of a weird question to ask. Let me ask you this. How old are you that you're asking what the age of consent is? Probably like 55 or something.
Before
But
I forget,
this
hold
could
on.
be Anthony Weiner from his jail cell. Like, actually. Do you work
um,
for Hillary Clinton? Are you part of her staff?
Romeo Marcinez, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much. And let's check other. Your Razu Angel, how was your Thanksgiving? I guess you already answered that earlier. Of course, there's a delay between the time we say we talk and the time you hear or see whatever we just said. And yeah, if if I read it right, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Peter Rocco and is it Casual Germ who already bought and read the book? Correct.
Yes.
We would really appreciate it if you also leave your review on Amazon. So thank you in advance.
Let's see here.
Anthony Cartwright, think hello to you. Let's see. Terrence Brown, hello again. Did you say
The
hi to him
same guy that I've
already?
saying might be a creep. He said, "How many Philippine girlfriends do you have?" Well, how many have I
Which
had?
one is that?
I lost it here. I'm trying to scroll. I saw it, but I was going to answer that. But oh, here it is. How many Philippine girlfriends do you have? Well, how many Filipino girlfriends have I had? Uh,
It's a present tense. Do you have? So
I
XL
don't
for
know if he
you.
mean. I think
Let me
maybe he
let me
means
say
in the.
something first. This is very funny. Your question is like is if I try to say it another way, how many girlfriends do you have aside from Imabelle? Though I'm not a girlfriend, I'm a wife. Maybe it should be how many girlfriends did you have? So, how many girlfriends do you have?
How many have I had? Well, I don't know offhand, but quite a few, both in the Philippines and in the United States. And I've dated girls from different parts of the world, Latin America, Canada, uh, different islands in the Caribbean. Kind of hard to keep track of at this point. Um, the answer is I don't know, but how many Filipino girlfriends have I had? It's been or have I dated? It's been quite a few, both in the United States and in the
Why
Philippines.
are you asking
And
about how many girlfriends, anyways?
I'd like to say though too, I know a lot of guys talk crap on my channel about American girls and American women. Now, some of that I'll admit is deserved, and some of these guys have a good point. But I don't like it because a lot of those negative stereotypes about American women, they're not as true as you would think there'd be. I've also dated a lot of really fantastic American girls, and there's definitely a lot of great American women out there. Now, I do think society is like what these guys are complaining about. I think society is kind of brainwashing them and making it worse and making good women in America less common than it used to be. You know, you watch Leave It to Beaver and you see June Cleaver. Now, that was a woman. That's how you want your wife to be, a very lovely, nice wife. You know, you never see on. Sometimes she would talk and disagree with her husband, but you'd never see Ward come home from the office, which I don't even know what Ward Cleaver's job was. He just works in an office, and that's all we know. I don't think they even said exactly what he does. But you'd never see a scene where Ward Cleaver comes home from the office and his wife June comes out and starts nagging him or bitching at him or yelling at him. You'd never see anything like that. That's the way a marriage should be. But of course, that's kind of a fantasy and an idealized too. But it's kind of like you're talking about. People need role models. I think things like that are good role models. And I know one of my dad's role models as a father, as a parent, is Ward Cleaver. That's really what you want. So
Joey, the next
Peter Rocco
message.
says, "Can you use Super Chat on a phone?" I don't. I don't know about that actually because I don't really use a phone much. I'm more used to using a laptop for doing this stuff. So I don't know. Try it. If you see the dollar sign, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Peter Rocco. He said he'll leave the review. Got it. Thank you.
How hard would it be to find a teaching job where they provide assistance with travel and boarding? Most likely very hard. It's not impossible. It's not impossible,
I
but
know someone who had a teaching job somewhere in Subic Bay. I think it's an international school in Subic Bay, but I just am not sure if his boarding and travel
that probably wasn't
was
covered.
taken care of. I knew
Definitely
he
not the travel
I
usually isn't.
knew he rented a place there, but I'm not sure if that was paid by the school.
Well, it
So,
depends. What do you mean by travel? Traveling from your country to here, or traveling, back and forth
oh,
to
I
work to school?
see.
I'm not sure. I think they mean from their country, whatever country he's from. But I wouldn't keep your hopes up for that because I think that'd be very difficult. Uh, but it's not impossible. I've seen a few people that have those jobs, but it's now it says we're not
It
streaming.
says no data. Hopefully you can still
Okay,
hear us,
I
guys. It's
think we
back to
cut out for a
good.
minute. I think we cut
That's
out for a
how
minute.
it is for the internet here.
Hopefully we're still with you guys.
Okay. Well, speaking
I'm not
of,
going to answer that guy's questions anymore. I think they're going from creepy to even creepier, and I can see the trend where they're going. It's going to start going to. You're going to get us banned from YouTube. It's going to go in that direction where things get
I have a
illegal.
feeling this person already knows the answer to his
Yeah,
question.
you don't need to.
So this is a question that doesn't really have to be addressed.
Uh,
So let's move on to
I got to scroll down here.
to Vincent Mancini. Hopefully, I pronounce it right. I think one thing you can do is try to check out possible or potential schools where you could possibly apply for that job that you think you'll be qualified for, and then you directly coordinate with that school, via email, so you would know what they could offer you.
Here's a question that I'd like to get to, or a statement more. It's not a question. The culture is definitely better in family values in the Philippines. Well, I'm not sure what country you're from, so I'm not sure what you're comparing it to, but I would say I don't find that to be true at all. It's true in some cases, but as a whole, not at all. For one thing, you see my family, like with my parents and grandparents. I'm not going to try and tell you that we're a perfect family because that simply doesn't exist. That wouldn't be realistic. But, you can see how we're a great family. That's for sure. I think we're very much a great family. And I've seen so many. I don't buy into that family values are better in the Philippines at all because what I see commonly in the Philippines is they abuse their family members, they take advantage of their family members, and one thing that's very different here is it seems like typically in many families they expect the firstborn child to basically support the rest of the family. So if you're firstborn into a Filipino family, some of these people they have to work like slaves to support their own family, and their family gets like seen things where the families, their brothers, sisters, parents, they get very lazy. Well, this one person has to go out and work like a dog and can't enjoy life at all, and they have all this burden on them, all this responsibility. Is that what you're supposed to do? And I think a lot of people here do have kids. There's an expression how the retirement plan for Filipinos is to have kids and then have your kids take care of you in your old age. Now, if your kids want to take care of you in your old age, I think that's great. But to force someone into it, uh, I don't think that's a good thing. And like I said, that one example of people making their firstborn child, whether it's male or female, by the way, doesn't matter. A lot of the times they make their firstborn child. I've seen examples where they're basically you almost like slaves, you'd think, and they can't enjoy life to themselves, and the rest of the family gets really lazy. Now, of course, a lot of the times I hear kind of the opposite. I don't have this experience, but a lot of guys write me and tell me their experiences, and they tell me they marry a Filipina, and then they say the woman's family takes advantage of them and expects them to pay for everything. Well, they're out lazy, being lazy and getting drunk all the time, and they expect the foreign husband just to give money. So is that good family values? No. No, I just say it depends on the family. Some American families are better, some Filipino families, but as a whole, I wouldn't say it's better.
Actually, just like there are good and bad people wherever
Yeah.
you go. So it's just the same thing. But what Travis said is true. Thankfully, I'm not one of those. I'm the eldest in the family, but I was never obliged to do it. But there are also people, Filipinos, who just really want to do it voluntarily and they just feel responsible to support their family or their younger siblings. But that can also be abused, and that is seen in so many families as well. So, I think it just really depends on the family. It's a case to case basis.
Here, Peter Rocco, this is kind of funny. He says, Travis, I dated two Filipinas. The first was a really bad one from Olongapo, Subic. My current one is much better, and he's engaged to her. That's kind of funny. Maybe he can elaborate what he means by a really bad one, a bad woman. Uh, but I always
If
say,
you won't mind, Peter Rocco, of course.
if it's not too personal. But I always say this, and I even said it in my speech, though I think I cut it out into the video because I was worried that the video is getting too long. Uh, Filipinos are diverse in terms of some of the best people in the world that you'll ever meet are Filipino, and some of the worst, most evil people in the world are Filipino. Just like I was talking before about families, you can't overgeneralize. For some for some things, you have to look at the individuals instead of making too broad of a generalization. Sometimes you have to generalize. Generalization can be a good thing, especially when you're talking about millions of people. You can't go through the phone book and talk about each person as an individual. So you got to use your discretion.
Like what I just said, the Arazu Angel, yeah, I agree with you. And on what he or she said, no matter what race you are or from, the only thing we all have in common is being a human being.
Uh,
And
Bingala says, follow the law as well, get the proper permits for teaching. Yeah, you always
exactly,
want to follow the law, definitely. And you'd be surprised at how many people, because this is something I was going to mention when we were talking about this earlier. A lot of the laws here, they're very lax in terms of enforcing them. A lot of people that aren't from here, they think there's not even any laws in the Philippines, which you could easily get that impression because they're very lax at enforcing them. Some things they choose to enforce, other things it seems like they choose to completely ignore and not enforce at all. But definitely you want to err on the side of making sure you follow the laws, especially if you're not from here. They can come down on you very hard. And part of the reason is if for no other reason, just to extort you. You don't want to give someone leverage over you by breaking the law. So if you're a visitor in another country, doesn't matter what country that is, follow the laws. Although in the United States, they don't make foreigners, especially ones that are there illegally, they don't make them follow the rules. But that's because of our stupid government in the United States. See, Filipinos, I know, complain about their government all the time, but hey, they're not alone in having corrupt. They don't have a monopoly on corruption. We have plenty of that in the United States. We have plenty of terrible politicians in the United States. By no means do countries like this have a monopoly on that. So,
one reminder also is avoid fixers. You'd see, you might encounter people telling you, we could help you with that. We could do it it could be faster. We have a shortcut for that. You don't have to go through this. The best way is to just do it legally, get the information you need, correct information, get it from the proper agency or department of the government, and you'll be fine.
here's a good question from Brad, and I think I should incorporate address this in another video in the future. When going to make a purchase in the market, do you find that you're overcharged for goods because they assume being white you're rich. Well, maybe if you go to like Green Hills or like some sort of like flea market type place where there is
Bazaars.
bartering, yeah, bazaar. But if you go to the grocery store or department
They
store,
have
there's
fixed
no bar.
prices
Yeah,
because you'd see
so it
the
doesn't matter.
tag, the
And
price tags.
most of the time when you go shopping in the mall in a regular store, so it's really not much of an issue. Bengala says good point about what I was talking about the families before. He was referring to respect towards elders. Yeah, definitely that's very different because they do teach respect for elders in the Philippines and in Asian cultures in
That's a
general.
huge part of our culture.
In America, they don't really have that, especially these days.
That's why it's very
So,
basic. We have, we still call our, we call our uncles, aunts, aunties, because I noticed some people in America they just call their uncles and aunts by their first name. So here it's not like that. So
ooh, we got a super chat from Peter Rocco. Sent
yay!
us $2. Yay, Peter! Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
Peter.
much, Mr. Rocco. That's a very cool name. Hey, Rocco. $2. He wants to collaborate when he goes back.
Let us
When are you
know
coming
so
back?
we could make the necessary adjustment in our schedule and
I
stuff.
also said we said during when you saw that talk I uploaded at the University of Santo Tomas, that was only like part of it. I cut things out for time. I was said one of the things I think we've become a tourist attraction in the Philippines because so many people hit us up. Hey, I'm going to the Philippines. I want to meet you. It's like we're now a landmark in the Philippines or a tourist attraction. So.
Right. So really thank you guys for that.
Peter also says too much info to elaborate on the X. Could be
Okay.
a long
You
story.
don't have to, Peter Rocco.
But thank you so much for the super chat for the $2. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Peter. He's not shy about using that super chat, and he figured it out with the little dollar sign down there. Let me see
Cool.
here. Over here in New York, I work in a hotel. Well, we love featuring hotels, and I explained in that Subic video recently from last week why that is, why I love staying in hotels.
And as you added that, there's a church group that rents out the meeting room. Oh, Filipino. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you find Filipinos like me, nice people.
Terrence Brown, who supports us on Patreon and has been supporting us on Patreon. If you want to support us, the link is in the description. Terrence says, question for Imabelle. If you invite guests over to your family's house for dinner and you all serve a dish like lechon, for instance, would you let your guests eat first, or does everyone eat together? Since that's for Imabelle, I'll let you
Thank
handle
you,
that.
Terrence, for that question. It depends on the kind of occasion. Say, for example, it is a birthday party or a fiesta celebration where you have many guests coming over and you have like a buffet table with food. Of course, you would serve the food. You would invite the guests to eat first. But say, for example, you have people serving and people who are in charge of refilling the plates, the serving plates, and all that. You could join your guests and eat with them, but it is very important that you prioritize your guests to eat. Now, if it's more of a small family get together, you could eat together at the same time, like in a big table. But say if you have many guests and you could really eat at the same table, all of you, and they would have their respective tables, or they would just sit and eat. So the guests are important and they should eat first, or you could join them at the same time. Lechon. I think you love lechon, Terrence. Why did you have to specify lechon? Now I'm craving for one. I hopefully answered your question.
Vincent Mancini says, how does one go about choosing the right location in the Philippines, big country? How does one find a safe, clean, cheap place to rent?
That's actually on the book, I think,
Yeah,
right?
that's a lot to go into. We talk about that on the book, and we give tips and pointers if you want to read the book. Link is in the description. It also helps support this channel, and you're going to get a lot of good information that's very straight to the point. It's a quick read. I designed it to be very quick. I didn't want any filler when I wrote that book. I wanted people to get useful things, what they're looking for, instead of having to go through all these pages and then give up. Because a lot of the times that's what happens. Even if there's a lot of great information, because I read a lot of books, even if there's a lot of great information in a book, it's like sometimes you have to go through so much, wade through so much nonsense, so much filler to get to the good stuff that you just give up eventually.
Well, maybe
So
one thing that
I
I
hate
could,
that.
Vincent, one thing that I could possibly share with you, because this is a very, that the question, there are a lot of answers to that. Is it really depends on you or the person if you would like a city or a small town. Would it be in Manila, a big city like Manila or Cebu, or outside Cebu or Manila? So it really depends on your preferences. It depends on the food you like, the kind of job you want to do if you would work here, and definitely, if you don't want heavy traffic and heavy pollution, you're going to avoid Metro Manila.
Why don't you read this? I want to get your thoughts on
Which
this.
one is this?
Uh, this one right there.
From Bengala Travels Philippines and beyond, I made a big mistake when I arrived in Mindanao. Bought no chicken or food for the large group. Oops, just got off the plane. In the Philippines, the guest brings food. Good point. Now,
That's not. I'll
that's
say this. That's in my experience. That's not true.
because that's not how my family
But
behaves.
most of the people I've been around,
Um, there's this thing.
it depends the type of group, the
Yeah.
type of people
Okay, let
that
me
you're
give you
with.
an example. I Let me give you an example. There was that I know one tour, and there was a
Oh, we cut out, I think,
okay.
again.
Let me try to start my sentence again because it says no data. Hopefully, you're still
I
getting
think
this.
we cut out there for a
Okay, it
minute.
says back to good status, streaming status. Okay, going back to your question, let me give you an example. There would be two scenarios. One is there was this one tour that was, and the tourist came from U.S. and then he met his Filipina girlfriend. The Filipino girlfriend flew to Manila, so the American boyfriend flew to Manila as well. The girlfriend lives in Mindanao, so she flew to Manila to meet the boyfriend for the first time. The boyfriend was shocked because the Filipino girlfriend came to Manila with her family, like literally a lot of family members. So, and the family members expected the American boyfriend to pay for all of them for their food and all that.
I think they were
So,
taking advantage of him, though.
so that's one. That could be one example. On the other hand, Filipinos do not really behave that way. No offense, but the more educated ones do not behave that way. Pasalubong or gift that you bring from a place where you just came from. Say, for example, you're visiting the Philippines, you come from US, you bring pasalubong, gift from US to the Philippines. That's like a common thing that Filipinos expect for, or Filipinos buy when they visit other places and they go back to the Philippines or to their native town. So maybe that's why they expected for your pasalubong. But if they expected you to pay for it, it's best when your girlfriend or whoever you're visiting already gives the family heads up. You set the right expectations that you know you're not really planning to pay for all of them. It'll be a good gesture for you to, of course, share with them something, pay for their food or whatever, but you cannot be expected to always pay for everything. I guess
You don't want to get taken
that's
advantage of,
one
and
thing
maybe
I
you did.
think
I don't
that
know your
at some
situation.
point you and your Filipino girlfriend, this I'm speaking in general terms, could have an agreement on. Like, because personally, Travis did not have to ask me about this, but I had to keep to straight to have this to give them this information straight. Like, you know what? This is what many Filipinos think. When you marry an American or a white guy, they think that you're gonna have a big house built for your family because the white guy that you're married to is gonna spend for it. They think that you're gonna get rich, your family's gonna get rich. So since there is that notion among Filipinos, I really had to make it clear to Travis, even though he didn't
But
ask
these are
that.
usually low class,
Yeah,
the lower
I know.
class
And
people.
even my mom in one of our conversations, she said like, we're not like that. So I can't remember how it was brought up, but it's like, yeah, I'm so glad I belong to the family I belong to and the people around me. So I think you
Well,
just really have to set
I want to
those
say something
expectations right.
now
Go
that
ahead.
I've been holding in. This experience, I've never had that experience in my life. Not only in the Philippines, definitely not in the U.S. Nowhere I've been to in the world, I've never had that experience. Uh, Never happened to me, and I probably wouldn't want to put myself in that situation. I'd probably feel like, but you got to be careful who you hang out with. And I'm not saying that it's wrong for you to be okay with it, and you know these people better than I do. He's saying that they're from a certain tribe. I don't know that tribe. I don't know that part of the country, Mindanao. I've never wanted to go to that country, even though that part of the country, even though you have relatives that are from there, and your father isn't he originally?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I've never had a desire to go that. But I'm not familiar with that particular tribe that you mentioned. But I've never had that kind of experience. I wouldn't want to have that kind of experience. And I know one of the things a lot of guys complain to me about, they'll go out with a group of Filipinos and then they tell me, oh, the Filipino makes me pay the entire bill for everyone. I haven't even had that kind of experience, even though I know that does happen. But hang out with a certain type of people that are more for whatever your standards are, and those are going to be different for different people. And like I said, I'm not trying to tell him what he did is wrong or anything. And I'm not trying to say he's lying, or I'm not trying to say he's taken advantage of, because I don't know what his situation is based off his story. And he knows those people better than I know those people, but I've just never had that kind of experience. I don't think I would want to have that kind of experience. And I've been very blessed to be around, even though this is third world country, of course, I've been very blessed to be around a lot of really great people and people that were looking out for me, people that I haven't been around too many people trying to take advantage of me. But I got around the right people, and that makes all the difference in the world. And you should hopefully try and be conscious of the type of people that you're around, wherever you are in life, any country. So, because that energy is going to rub off on you, you can catch negativity and a bad attitude and bad feelings and feeling bad just as easily as you can catch a cold. And you can catch good traits from people, success, riches, uh, whatever your goals or your values are in life. You can catch those too, like catching a cold, only that'd be a good thing. But you got to hang out with the people that are where you want to go in life. That'll make the difference. Now that's the hard part, because there's a lot of people that say this, and I think it's true. Whatever you want to be, whatever your goal is to be, start being it now, and you'll end up doing that. You have to start acting the part, looking the part, dressing the part, behaving how you would want to behave if you were successful. So, and I know sometimes that's easier said than done. I'm not saying it's easy to do that, but that's what you got to try and do.
Well, to Bengala, of course, I think you're also a generous person. There's nothing wrong
Yeah,
with helping and being generous. One thing that we just
absolutely.
have to be mindful of is to also know the limitations. It's either the people who expect you to pay for whatever for them. It's either they just don't know, or they don't know if it's I was trying to say something. But anyways, there should just be a limitation. So, and you should know the limitation. But if you really
Yes.
want to do it, then do it. If it's what your heart tells you and if you're capable, why not?
We could go on and on about that, but I want to get to a few other things here. I have a question when it comes to job. Is it possible to get job transfer from here in the U.S. to over there like Walmart stores or hotel jobs, or I have to fill out an application and hope to get a job. But that's kind of a complex question. First of all, I'd say, what is your job in the United States? Do they have a branch in the Philippines that you could get a transfer to? I don't know what your job is, but generally, I don't see that happening unless maybe the exception to that is if you work to someplace that has a call center in the Philippines and you can.
For example, like if you're talking about the BPO industry, if say you're already working in one in America and they would send you here for either, a specific assignment for maybe a month or more like a longer time, then that's possible because when we talk about work, that's another kind of visa that you have to take care of.
Um, he says hotel jobs. Maybe if they have a branch of that hotel here, maybe, like if you work at Best Western in America, can you say, hey, could I be transferred to Best Western in the Philippines? Because I just use that as an example because they have some of those here. The problem is, depending what you do, they might have someone that can do that locally where they don't need someone with special skills or they don't need an American. And the jobs, whatever you do there, they probably have a Filipino guy here doing the same job for a heck of a lot less money than you would be doing it for. So they're not just going to want to replace someone that can do a job with someone that's going to expect a lot more money.
I heard from someone though that there's this one BPO that accepts applicants from non-Filipino applicants. So I think they also do or take care of the visa application and
I
all
was just
that
going to
through
get
the
to that
company.
too. Because number one, before you can even think about that, you need to have the right type of visa, which there's a few different type of visas that you can work on legally. With a regular tourist visa, that's illegal. You can't do it. I can work with my visa, but with tourist visas, which is probably what you're thinking about getting, you cannot work. That's illegal. Let me see
That's
here.
why.
Um, Philippine Scene says, keep vlogging. It's funny that you bring that up. We're approaching 200 episodes of my life vlog, and we had some good. The last few ones have been really good, especially that one in Subic Bay, and then that one where I did the speech at the University of Santo Tomas. Check those out if you haven't seen it. We have the link to the Subic Bay one in the description to this. You can check out later, but we're coming up to 200 episodes now, and I've kind of been thinking about ending that, about stopping. I have been thinking about stopping vlogging, so quitting. And if I resume, maybe resume in a different place like the United States. But yeah, 200 episodes, that's a lot to do something. We have a lot of really amazing episodes. We have a whole playlist if you go on my channel page, but we have a lot of amazing episodes, and that's an awful lot. And in this location, I'm not really sure how much more I could do to some point without getting redundant. So I've been considering stop vlogging, but thank you for your support and letting us know that you're enjoying our vlogs.
Thank you, Philippine Scenes. There's a question from Vincent. If a white guy from New York or Florida comes to the Philippines, is somewhat intelligent and has a unique way of speaking, could he look to provide private lessons in English and the like? First of all, English subject is included in the curriculum in schools here. So one question is who would be your market? Who would be your students for the private lessons, private English lessons?
I'm
Well,
not sure what he means by unique way of speaking. I'm not sure exactly what he
unless
means by that.
did you exactly, but here's here's one thing that you could try to check out. This came to mind, so let me just share this with you anyways. While you are in US, why don't you check out websites, online teaching jobs? There are a lot of websites like that wherein you could be an online English teacher, and the students are usually Koreans, Japanese. It depends on the online school if
That
they,
would be his best bet.
because as an American, as a native English speaker, these online schools usually pay higher to the native English speakers like you compared to Filipinos who are not really native English speakers. So that is an edge for guys like you. And of course they have their respective um, ways of job application. They hold interviews, they ask you to submit a resume and all that, but you can check out various options online. And so if you want to move to the Philippines, then maybe you can still do it, but you also have to double check if you would have to comply with another, another policy, whatever, since you'll be moving out of US. So those are just thoughts.
The quick answer to that is it's possible, not likely, and don't expect to make much money with it. Your best bet would be online English teaching, which doesn't pay a whole heck of a lot. Sometimes it's only around $5 an hour. So
It really depends on the online school. It really depends on the teacher. Like what I said,
a lot of them start at around $4 or $5 an hour, though.
I encountered this. I was checking out online jobs because my friend asked me about it. I was trying to check out some for her, and there was this one online school. They teach English to Japanese, if I remember it right. But on that website, they have one specific rule that you have to submit. You have to submit. I don't recall. We call this a tax identification number in the Philippines. So, these are things that you have to check out first. Can you just do it even though you don't have this kind of ID? Because they will have some companies ask you to open a local bank account. So that's the way they
And you
pay
need a local ID for
And
that,
if
right?
if you apply for a local bank account, you would need to present a Philippine resident ID, also known as, I can't remember, ACR, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you can get a bank account on a tourist visa as long as you have the local ID, right?
That's the ACR
That's all you
that
need
you
for a bank
get
account
from
and
the
a few other things.
immigration.
I think you also need like some IRS forms,
For
American,
the bank, for
because
the
they
bank
report to the
account.
American IRS.
Yeah, the banks also
If you're an
require you
American.
to fill out forms that I think they're required to submit.
To the
They will
IRS in
ask
the
you,
US.
yes,
That's only if
things
you're an
like that.
American.
Yeah.
If you're Filipino or if you're Chinese or European, if you're European, they probably need whatever country you're from.
Because, for example, this one company that I was talking about, they they of course also want to comply with Philippine law. They also want to pay tax. That's why they require their teachers or would-be teachers to have that tax identification number in the Philippines.
The guy that asked about the job transfer, he says he works at a hotel. What hotel do you work at, if you don't mind saying? Kurt says, I agree with Travis about the first child working like a slave. I know some of them go to work abroad and send everything they make home and hardly have enough to live. Yeah, that's the one of the most common stories you'll hear, actually. And a lot of people don't from other countries don't understand. The Philippines has a very unique economy or unusual economy compared to that of the United States in terms of, believe it or not, more money is sent into the Philippines from Filipinos working outside the Philippines, sending money in than is actually generated within the country. There's more that's sent in from foreign countries than is produced in this country, which is crazy to think about. Which shows you too, like I know there was some talk about building that wall in between Mexico and the United States. One of the things Trump mentioned and how you could get Mexico to pay for it, and I believe this actually would work, if you could stop money remittances from the United States to Mexico. I'll bet you Mexico probably would agree to pay for the wall because Mexico, kind of like the Philippines, they rely on a lot of money coming from outside their country to be sent into their country.
Remittances.
I don't think
Mm.
it's to the level that the Philippines depends on it, but they get a lot of money from
It's a
Mexicans
huge
working in the
source
United
of
States, sending money into Mexico. If
income.
he could stop remittances, they probably agreed to pay for that wall because ultimately it would be in their best benefit.
It's Bengala actually brought up a good point. They also, that's true. These online schools also require a good quality webcam, headphones, and of course, internet speed.
Yeah, but
That's right.
we've talked a lot about the Philippines tonight. That wasn't really my intention, even though I started out with that one story about that fight from the Philippines, which we have the link to that in the description. Also, guys, you guys are leaving a lot of really great comments and questions and things like that. Especially I see you guys typing great comments. One of the great tragedies of YouTube, one of the things that the way they have things set up that I really don't like, when you do a live broadcast like this and all these people they leave comments when it goes up as a recording, all those disappear. So guys, if you want your comments to be seen on the video, go back after the recording's up and leave a comment and say, "Hey, I watched this live and we talked about this," or whatever you want to say, because all the stuff that you guys are leaving, unfortunately, when we end the broadcast, your comments that you left, they're all going to disappear. So sorry about that. I hate that YouTube does it, but just go back to the video when it uploads as a recording and you can leave a comment. And we have Peter Rocco hit us up with another super chat. So he's hit us up with $5 in super chat tonight.
Wow.
He gave us a $2 super chat. Now he gave
And
us another $3 super.
she Peter. Peter also said that his girlfriend is a teacher and supports most of her family.
Sorry to hear that. What he
Well,
says.
I mean, I think I admire your girlfriend, and I'm sure she will also have to uh to set aside some for her own and for you guys, for your family, at some point, right?
It's no way to live. Yeah,
So,
hopefully when they get married, hopefully she doesn't really have to do that because you guys will have a family and that's got to take priority. So hopefully she has her values is straight and in line when you guys are married and focuses on your family to build because that's going to be what's really most important in life, I think. The family that when you get married that you build and the values that you have with your children and the time that you spend with your children. It's not all about money. Money is not the most important thing in life. Unfortunately, we do need it to live, though we can't survive without it. And to be able to have more power and influence over this world, we need to have it. And power and influence to influence in a good way. So money's not a bad thing. And the transfer of money, he's transferring money. So now I'm $5 closer to being able to get a new computer to edit
thank
videos
you,
for you
Peter
guys.
Rocco, for the invite to your wedding. By the way, where are you gonna hold your wedding? I also host events such as wedding reception programs and all that. So we also have someone from Canada, Frank Boper. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing it right. And
Hello, eh? Up there in Canada,
and
eh? I'm just kidding. I told you I dated a woman from Canada before. And my college girlfriend, I met her in Canada, but we both lived in America, in Michigan at that time. But that was in Windsor, Ontario, which is across the river from Detroit, which is the only place where to get to Canada from the United States, you actually have to go south. You go south from the United States to get into Canada. It's
hmm,
crazy to think about, but you actually have to go south at that point. Bengala says there's so many sad things happening with YouTube these days. Sorry to say, in my opinion. Yes, that's true, and there's so many that we can't even list them all here yet, but definitely over the past year, I lost a lot of faith in YouTube, and especially lately, even just in the past couple weeks, you'd almost get the impression they're trying to kill their own site. Now, YouTube does have a tough job because they have three major groups of people to please. They have to please the viewers, the people that actually watch it. They have to please the creators, and they have to please the advertisers that they actually get money from, money that they need to run the website, of course. And anytime they shift to try and please more one of those groups, the other groups are very unhappy. So it's a hard balancing act. And lately they decided to just try and please the advertisers, and it's really hurt both the creators like me and just anyone that creates videos for YouTube, and it's hurt the viewers. It's hurting the viewers big time. So the creators are unhappy and the viewers are rightfully unhappy, and it could ultimately kill their own website. And with some of the things that's happened even in the last couple of weeks, you'd almost get the impression that that's their goal. They want to destroy their own website. The problem is there's no competition right now for YouTube. So where can people like me go? Where else can we go? Well, there's a couple things that have started up, but they're not really there yet. They're not really ready for prime time yet, so to speak. So, everyone's hoping and waiting and praying for a good real competition for YouTube, both the viewers and the creators. And it's amazing how there's so many of the biggest creators on YouTube, not like smaller channels like this, but I'm talking about those really huge channels. Like you're hearing a lot of YouTube's biggest stars, the so-called YouTube stars, they're talking about how they want to jump ship and leave, but there's nowhere else to go. And if some of the biggest people on YouTube are talking about wanting to leave YouTube, that kind of tells you the state of things, unfortunately.
Yeah. They would also ask, what's super chat?
So if you see the little dollar sign at the bottom there of the comments, the chat comments, you can do that only while it's live. So if you're watching the replay, that doesn't work. But if you're watching it live, you hit the little dollar sign and you can determine an amount to give to support us with. So just try it out, hit the little dollar sign, and we appreciate it.
Travis, I think there are a few questions earlier about the comparison between KFC in the Philippines and KFC in
missed
America.
those.
Although thank you, Peter, for sharing the answer for that. Non-lonely farmer said, "Chicken Joy for me, please." You like Chicken Joy, huh? One lonely farmer said that. Travis, you like the spicy one.
Well, I like both original and if I had to pick one or the other, I'd pick original. We had KFC today.
For KFC. But Travis, what do you think is the difference between KFC and American KFC here? I know the answer because I got to eat.
Why don't you tell them?
For me, the difference is one great thing about the KFC in America that I tried in Bismarck, North Dakota is they have buffet. I love that.
Most places in America don't have buffets
KFC
at
does
KFC.
not have buffet like that. But how about for the chicken? Is there any difference on the taste?
I'm not sure.
I think Dad said something about that.
My dad thinks so, but I'm not sure if it's that noticeable. Bengala says, why not a new channel? I think he means a new website called WeTube. Yeah, that's kind of what it means, because this website's called YouTube, means supposed to be about you, people, the users. Right. But now one of the big things that YouTube decided to focus on is their new YouTube TV, and they're trying to attract a lot of really mainstream, more traditional celebrities to do like TV shows for them and music things for them. So, and they've decided to neglect the people that really made the platform, more just the average users, and they're going more towards corporate people that have corporations behind them. Right. That's what they're focusing on. So they really should rename this website, instead of YouTube, it should be called ThemTube. And the reason we all love YouTube is because it's an alternative to that mainstream nonsense that you see when you turn on your TV. But now they're trying to go in that direction and just join them and become like all the rest of that stuff. And they've so much went away from just anyone that's a regular person. It's more about pleasing the Hollywood corporations. So, which sucks for the viewers and the regular creators. So.
Right.
But, it's a good opportunity if someone can get something going and they have the money behind it. That's the big thing. For competition to YouTube, it's going to take an awful lot of money. And Google is like one of the only corporations that has or Alphabet, I guess, as it's really called now. They're one of the only corporations that has that kind of money that can do something like this at this point. But Amazon maybe could, and I've heard rumors that Amazon might be starting up a YouTube competitor. I don't know if I like that either because one of the big issues with YouTube is how they've basically eliminated freedom of speech altogether on YouTube, and they've tried to sanitize it and make it this totally politically correct thing where even if you step an inch outside of some sort of extreme political correctness, well,
Wow. I have to
well,
pause.
we found.
Clap, clap, clap. Thank you so much. Yarazu Angel for the $20
He asked.
super chat.
He asked
Thank
what.
you to you and to Peter Rocco, Yarazu and Peter.
That's a big one. $20 super chat from Yarazu Angel. Thank you so much. We super appreciate it. Now I'm even closer to getting a new computer so I can make videos for you. And it's funny because he was asking what is super chat, so that kind of shows that you need to educate people because so few people even know about this, that this exists. You have to first of all tell people what it is, I guess. And it's, as a creator, as someone doing this, you don't want to be like begging people like, oh, please give me money, or you don't want to be like that. But you got to explain it to them because most people, it just shows you they don't know what it is or how to use it. It'd be nice if people, if maybe YouTube itself could somehow more educate the average user on this thing. But of course, like we were talking about, that's not their priority. So it's up to us when we do these streams. It shows you it's our duty, our responsibility, that if you want to receive that love from people, you have to first tell them about it and tell them how to use it, because the average person, unfortunately, doesn't know. And they might not even notice that at the bottom of the chat there is that little dollar sign.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Yarazu. We really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm always one of the things about running this channel, especially if you want to do do really good things in high quality. You constantly have to be buying stuff, whether it's cameras or even smaller stuff like memory cards, tripods. Like right now, like I've just been realizing I really need a new computer. I've had this one a little over 2 years, I think now, which is about all computers last me because I think I'm hard on them from all the intensive HD video editing that I do.
The laptop is the most used gadget in our house. Like for all the vlogs that you see, for all the videos that you see, the laptop is
so
really
yeah, I need a new laptop.
Is what we use. So.
There's other stuff I need. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we've kind of been evolving and changing this channel. I brought back that series, that Man on the Street series. Hopefully you've been enjoying. If they do well, I'll keep doing them. I brought it back as kind of an experiment. We'll see how they do. If people aren't that interested, well, then I'll get rid of it because they are kind of a lot of work to go out and film. But we've also been focusing a lot more on dating advice because those are some of the top questions that I get, and it's something that I'm an expert on and something I can talk about. I try and stick to things on this channel that I actually know about and hopefully I'm interested in. That's something that I think I have an expertise in that and enough interest that I can make it entertaining as well as very educational and informative, and they really help out a lot of people.
Yarazu, is there anyone or other people you want us to send a shout out aside from you that we could greet now? Just the thought. Or for you, Peter? Let us know.
Peter says, Travis, try looking into Twitch. I know it's mostly gaming, but they have real channels, so it's worth a shot. It's where I usually stream. Amazon owns Twitch. Yes, that's all true. I believe I signed up for a Twitch account, and I was going to start uploading my videos. So I signed up for a Twitch account, but then I looked around at the other videos. It didn't seem people were watching regular video content.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I kind of I'm not going to bother because it takes a really long time, too, to upload a video on Philippine internet because we have slower internet. And then I looked at the few, they didn't have a lot of videos yet, and it didn't seem people were using it for that purpose to watch regular videos. Now, hopefully that could change. The one thing I don't trust with Amazon trying to do competition for YouTube is kind of like what I was saying before about how one of the biggest problems we have right now on YouTube is is killing
Go ahead.
is killing freedom of speech. And Amazon, you can be sure that they're not going to allow that. They own the Washington Post, which the guy Jeff Bezos that owns Amazon, he bought the Washington Post and basically turned it into his own personal private propaganda piece. And even today, there was a video we saw by someone named Steven Crowder,
Right.
and where they tested Alexa and they kind of show how that Alexa thing that they have, how it basically tells you things that aren't really that objective, things more that they want you to know. It puts like their own slant on it.
Right. And speaking of freedom of speech, we were talking about YouTube earlier. They actually observe freedom of speech, but that only applies to them. To them and to their agenda. Let's see. Let's try to. Okay, you want me to read this?
You can read the last one.
Okay. Your as an angel said, "You're very welcome, guys. I enjoyed watching your videos, and I told my girlfriend about you guys. You and your wife ended up being together there. No doubt that me and Larnie could do it too. Right. If we can do it, so can you. So God bless you and Larnie, Irazu. And
Bengala says media as a whole is pretty much opinion anymore, no news for the most part. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But when you think about it, when you look back even decades ago, you kind of think, did real journalism ever truly exist? I don't know. It's always, maybe it's always been propaganda, especially in America. When I was a kid, they would tell us the Russians, they lie to their people through the news, or the Muslims do that. But all along, they've been doing that to us in
so
America.
they said those things because they actually were doing that.
Yeah,
But they're still doing
I saw
it.
something when we were in a hotel. I was flipping through the channels, and the channel Russia Today was on, which is their media. It's run by even the Russian government. But they had Ron Paul on, and Ron Paul, he was the guest, and he said, everything America accuses other countries of doing, they actually do that themselves. And I totally believe him. That makes sense.
That's crazy. Let's try to see. I think. Okay, can you go up, please?
Oh,
So
I don't
fast.
know what I did
I think
there.
we missed one very nice message from Bengala. Just a little bit up. Let's
I'm
try.
trying.
Okay, there. Let's see. Bengala travels Philippines and beyond said, by the way, been watching you both for about a year now. So nice to see such mutual respect shown in a relationship. Great example for many watching. Thank you so
Thank you
much. We
very
do our
much.
best. We're not perfect, but we do our best. And
Let's scroll back down to the bottom.
it's a great blessing to always
Evan
be
Cortez
thankful for.
is in the room. And something I'd like to say about Evan Cortez, on my 10 years on YouTube, he's actually been watching me longer than anyone else. Because there's been people too that come and go as subscribers depending how you kind of change the content. And it's funny, like we had someone that just say, I've been watching you for a year. And well, a lot of those people, they don't go through the back catalog, and they don't see the evolution of this channel, the Travis Kraft channel, and they don't see the old stuff. I used to mostly do like kind of like silly things and comedy skits, and but Evan Cortez, he's seen like all that stuff. I think he's been watching for 8 or even 9 years now, and I've had this channel for 10 years, and he watches every video and comments on every video. But no matter what the type of video is, because I've done a lot of different types. I have, like I said, I have almost 200 episodes of that life vlog series, but I only started that, I think, at the beginning of 2014, I believe, is when I started that. Uh, but before that, I'd had so many other types of things, especially you go back to what I was doing in like 2009. It was mostly like silly comedy videos. That a lot of people don't even realize that used to be a big thing on YouTube. Right now, vlogging kind of is the big thing. But I remember when it was like what dominated YouTube was silly comedy videos.
That's why this one fella actually was first
The first YouTube
you
star, I
yeah.
think,
What's her name again?
Happy Slip.
Happy
Most
Slip.
people wouldn't even
Yeah.
remember that when they talk about the YouTube stars, or everyone thinks of the poster person of YouTube, and they have these people that are like the most popular people on YouTube. But it's amazing the way they come and go too. Most people don't remember. I remember in 2007 when I was first starting to really get into YouTube. The poster, I'm not poster boy because it was a female, but the person that they really used as kind of like the face of YouTube actually at that time was a Filipino American woman named, she went by the name Happy Slip. And not to insult her because she kind of quit YouTube and she went on to other things. She has another job and she has a family. Of
She's a
course,
nurse
that's,
by profession, right?
yeah,
I think. Yeah.
but she also had kids and had a family. And of course, that's 1,000 times more important than YouTube. So I don't mean this to come off as an insult, but she's so forgotten now. Especially a lot of the people that are really into YouTube, they're teenagers. They wouldn't remember 10 years ago this is the most important person on YouTube. Even if you go back maybe 4 years ago when the poster boy for YouTube was Freddie Wong. Does anyone even remember Freddie Wong, Freddie W, the Freddie W channel, which has changed its name now to Rocket Jump? He kind of quit YouTube because I think Hulu paid him to like make exclusive content for Hulu. And it's probably a lot more money. But it's like he used to be the poster boy for YouTube, and that was only like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I don't hear anyone talking about him anymore. I think he's kind of forgotten, especially by people that would only be like teenagers, like Saki, who's 9 years old. Would she, she talks
Yeah.
about, oh, Logan Paul and whatever,
Yeah.
but would she know who Freddie W, the Freddie W channel, Freddie Wong? Would she have a concept of who that is? Of course not. So these people, it shows you, even though maybe, or Nigga Higa, remember him? I think he's still around and still somewhat popular. But I remember when he became the most popular and most subscribed guy on YouTube, and like, oh, see, an Asian is the most subscribed. Like a lot of Asians were bragging about that. But I don't think that lasted real long. And then you had PewDiePie, and we all
Right.
know what happened to him. He got popular. They made him a star from his edgy behavior and his the filth that comes out of his mouth. But as soon as he said something about the wrong group that didn't laugh, boy, did they turn the company themselves, both Disney's Maker Studios and YouTube, who he had a YouTube Red show with. Boy, they shunned him in a second the first time he said something about the wrong group of people.
Well, that just shows you that,
I won't
like,
elaborate on that.
you can guys check out online.
Everyone knows who I'm talking about with a brain.
Yeah.
No, I mean that guy's rich though, so I mean they can cancel Disney can cancel their contracts with him. YouTube can cancel his exclusive YouTube Red series, and it doesn't really matter so much. But they can really hurt the little guys a lot more.
Right. And let's see. Let's try to go back. I want to read the message from Evan Cortez. We were talking. He said, right now the media's main mission is to bring down Donald Trump. That's what I noticed. Yeah. Well, anyways, here I don't want to talk about it.
Kevin Rains says he's been watching for 6 years. Well, that's quite a
Wow,
long time.
thank you for 6 years and counting. Same goes to A9JUL. Been watching for 2 years. Thank you for 2 years and counting.
But yeah, before I say anything politically incorrect and I criticize the wrong people, which I've been accused of. Oh my goodness.
Yay!
Paul Putnam, $5 super chat. Paul, yay! And it looks like his avatar is of a classic car. I can't tell what car that is, but if you have a question for us, Paul, go ahead and leave it. We appreciate the super chat. I'm getting closer all the time to getting that new computer so I can keep smoothly making these videos out for you guys.
And if you want us to send a shout out to anyone, maybe your special one in the Philippines, wherever she is, wherever they are, let us know, Paul.
So,
Same goes to okay, let me check. I'm trying to look. Okay, I will interrupt
something that
you.
I
Go
wanted to say
ahead.
was something else I need to do. It kind of reminds me talking about it and how I need a new computer. I need to also, if you go to my YouTube channel page, the banner, I want to change that out because I want to I want to update it. I want to put your picture on it as well too. But I have that one. It's a picture of me, and it says "Strength through Joy," and it kind of has an airplane in the background. But I kind of want to update it and maybe put a little bit more specifically what we're doing and going to be doing, such as like dating advice. I want something that kind of conveys that on the banner when people go to the channel. But Paul Putnam, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. If you have a question, go ahead and leave it. We'd be happy to help you out.
Hi to Richard Sundown. Thank you for joining us.
But yeah, I got to get that new banner. I've been thinking about it, but I've been so busy editing videos for you guys and shooting different things. I haven't had time to redesign
There
one.
are just a lot of things to do, and so we try to do them
And we had that.
and accommodate everything that we really have to work
I
on.
had to give that talk at the University of Santo Tomas. Isn't that where?
Evan Cortez
Isn't that where he went?
is.
Evan
Oh,
Cortez.
by the way, Evan, do you know that the Faculty of Arts and Letters of our university, UST, is going to hold an alumni homecoming next Sunday? Wish you could join. I might go there.
So Evan Cortez, like who I said, has been watching this channel for 8 or 9 years, and Imabelle, they both graduated from the University of Santo Tomas, and we had to give this big talk. I was the special guest speaker at that one event, and it was kind of a lot of pressure, I think, for you because even though we do these talks quite a bit, and I don't make too big of a deal about it, I know I'm always going to be good. I think Imabelle felt a lot of pressure because you can understand someone going back to their old university. You want to make sure it's good. That's not the time to get lax and screw up. So I knew there's like I think you had like you really did a lot to prepare.
Not only that, I have this thing. I always want to make sure that every single event hosting job I do, every single speaking engagement I do, every single job I do, I really exert effort because I want it to be excellent. Not only for myself, but for the people that I'm working with or I'm working for, or the people that will be benefiting from it. So, but that was really fulfilling, that job that we just did in my alma mater.
Oh, it went over huge. It was a great speech. They really enjoyed it. Uh,
The
I mean,
feedback is really so
like I said,
heartwarming.
you can watch most of it in that from a couple vlogs ago. Um, yeah, the girls like it was mostly females. It seemed it was what college put it on within
The
USD.
College of Tourism and Hospitality Management.
Yeah, in USD
Not our college, Evan. Yeah.
college meaning like the major.
Yeah, because the university has different colleges, say College of Nursing, College of Medicine, College of Architecture. Mine is Faculty of Arts and Letters, etc. So,
But it seemed mostly females are in the tourism
yeah, because they
department.
are the ones who in the future will become, you know, flight attendants. They would be
Work
the
at
people
hotels.
working in hotels in the
Yeah.
tourism industry.
I guess females in
So,
general are usually more into that than males because it seemed like it was mostly females. A lot of beautiful females, and this is a one of the most prestigious universities in the Philippines. It's one of the big three or four, right? There's only like, and there's about three or four universities in the Philippines that are kind of equals. But you choose which one you go to depending what field you want to go into. If you want to be a medical doctor, what you go UP probably is the best choice.
UP and UST, of course.
Oh yeah,
UST would be
UST.
the
That's
best.
true. UST. If you want to, what do you? If you go to Ateneo, is it like if you want to be a lawyer or?
Yes, and a lot more courses. You can just really,
They kind of have some of their
yes,
specialties, but they're
yes.
all like three or four that are basically equals that are the big ones and the prestigious ones. Kind of like how in the US there's Harvard, there's Columbia, there's Brown. You know, if you're maybe more into tech, there's Stanford. If you're going to go into engineering, you go to MIT.
A9JUL asks, is K-pop popular in the Philippines? Very, very popular.
Yes,
Very, very popular.
that's
So
true.
it has a huge influence
It's not
on
popular
the
with me.
Philippines, on Filipinos, particularly the young people.
I love Korea. I love Korea. I love a lot of Korean people. Uh, but their K-pop, that is a no-go for me. But I love Korea. It's been a long time since I've been to Korea. Love it. I used to even live in Koreatown in Los Angeles, so I knew a lot of Koreans there. Uh, Korea is an amazing country. They have a lot of amazing qualities about their people. Though I was reading just the other day, I was reading that one of the highest rates of alcoholism in the world, other than after American Indians, which you might not know, but alcoholism in for American Indians is off the charts, and I guess for Australian Aborigines, it's also very high. But after those two groups of people, the American Indians and the Australian Aborigines, the highest rate of alcoholism in the world is in South Korea. And that kind of blows my mind because I normally think of South Koreans as being such
Is
high
that because of
achievers.
soju? They make soju.
I don't know.
That's their beer,
When
right?
I think of Koreans, I think that's a high achieving people. Like that's like a really magnificent people, and their country's come such a long ways in a short period of time, and I really respect that. I mean, even you look at their athletes; they have a lot of really great Olympic athletes there. So they excel in all these different fields. They have a high intelligence rate there. They're high achievers. They even have good athletes there, believe it or not, and doing all these amazing things. So it blows my mind when you hear that they have this extremely high rate of alcoholism there. But you know, living in Koreatown in Los Angeles, I would remember if you'd go by the nightclubs, the Korean nightclubs around 2 a.m. when they close, you'd always see Koreans in the parking lots getting wild. You'd see fights breaking out, like really violent fights with Korean dudes, and you'd see like women doing, you know, things that we can't say in a family broadcast like this. But yeah, they were getting so wild there, and it blows your mind to see those Koreans getting so wild. But they were usually drunk, and when you get, I guess, when you get some alcohol in them, kind of like American Indians and Mexicans, I guess too, they have, you know, because their bodies, American Indians, they have a high rate of alcoholism, and when they drink, they behave differently, I guess, than whites because genetically their bodies are different and they don't have things in their body, whatever it is, that makes you deal with alcohol better, so
Mm-hmm.
they get addicted really easy. They have the same problems with sugar. That's why they also have a high rate of diabetes, but they get blackout drunk. They're more prone to getting mean and violent when they drink, supposedly. So
Yeah, Peter Rocco asks, Travis, are you so used to the heat there you don't need aircon anymore?
Uh, well, I at least need a fan. I don't necessarily need air conditioning. They call it aircon here,
It's Filipino way,
or Con Air,
aircon,
which is a movie with Nicolas Cage.
air
Uh,
conditioner. Yeah.
but I at least need a fan. I like air conditioning. I definitely want to be in air conditioning when I have a choice. We don't have it on right now. We just have a fan. Uh, David King says, I'm an American, but I went to UP Diliman,
Really?
and I always thought UST was a much better school.
You're right. It's just kidding. I don't wanna like. Well, I'm just thankful and I'm proud to have graduated from UST.
But UP Diliman, that's not the regular UP, right?
That's the
That is the
main.
main one.
That's the
Okay.
main.
Which is a prestigious university.
Yes. And that was UP Diliman was founded by Americans, I think.
I
Am
think,
I right, David? I'm
oh,
not sure.
yeah, that might be.
That's
That
like
one might be. I think that
that's
one
like
might be.
based on American education, the educational system or something. So correct me if I'm wrong. And let's see.
Amen for K-pop. Yuck. Another example of entertainment media influencing a culture values among the youth, in my view. I remember the Go-Go Girls and where America went from there. I'm not sure what the Go-Go Girls were and what he means by that. Was that a band or is he talking about like the girls dancing in bars? I'm not sure. But yeah, the K-pop ones, I've noticed all their guys look like girls. Their guys look like pretty girls, and yeah, I don't know if that's a good influence in culture, teaching boys to be girls.
You
I'm not
know
sure if
what,
that's what we're
Mandala,
supposed
if
to
you
do.
notice, even food, Korean
Yeah.
food has gotten so popular in the Philippines.
Richard Sundown says, "Not all Native Americans, Travis. I am Native and I don't drink." Yeah, what I mean is, one of the yeah, if you're definitely, I would say, if you have those genetics, do like you do, don't drink at all because their bodies genetically can't handle it. But that's the thing. When they do start drinking, they seem to get addicted very easily, and it seems to also influence them much more, affect them more, like at the time when they're drunk. But he says he doesn't drink, and yeah, that's a good way to be, especially if you have that type of genetics. So I'm not saying you, and I'm not saying all American Indians are drunks, but definitely they have statistically the highest rate of alcoholism. I think actually in the world, but definitely within our country. So I was reading that American Indians are number one for alcohol, highest rate of alcoholism, followed by Australian Aborigines, and then South Koreans after that.
Hmm.
That's what I was reading. If what I was reading is wrong, that I don't know. I didn't try and look up their statistics. I just took it at face value.
What's we
But
got the beat? It's like we got the beat. Is that it?
oh, I think the
It's
like I think it's like a 1980s. That's what I'm saying. I think there was a band in the 80s. Were they also the ones that did Walk Like an Egyptian? I think that I
oh,
think that's the group. That's what I was saying. I wasn't sure if it's that group from the 80s or if he's talking about when you'd go to the bar and there'd be go-go dancers.
right. Kenny, okay, from CEAA. I graduated from UP Diliman, but all the rest of my siblings went to UST. Both are good universities together with Ateneo and LaSalle. Thumbs up. I agree with you. And
Richard says, I do agree the natives in the Dakotas do have issues. Yeah, there's ones in South Dakota. I heard there's one. I was also reading about how there's one in South Dakota where they had to ban alcohol altogether,
really,
but they go across the border, I think in Nebraska, and you can see them like right across the border, like passed out, like on like at the side of the road with like bottles of alcohol.
literally.
Yeah, because they have such a problem with people drinking. So on their reservation in South Dakota, this particular
Why
reservation,
is
they
that?
totally banned alcohol from the entire reservation, but they just go across the border to Nebraska and get it. So,
Wow.
someone says that was the Bengals. Yeah, I guess that was the
I
group.
think it's I'm kind of like
I'm not.
I'm trying to recall it in my head if that's the one.
I'm not the
You
big.
got the
I'm not
beat.
real. I'm not.
Is that it? Anyways,
Maybe walk like an Egyptian.
Kenny Rains, you thank you for joining us. I'm seeing your comments as well. And oh, Urazu Angel said, "Night guys, I have to work later. At my limit of staying up, wish you two luck on the new computer. I'm glad and it is cool to finally got a chance to see and talk to you both here live."
And since you do
Wow.
work for a hotel, now that we know that's what you do, um, yeah, see if they have a branch in the Philippines. I don't know what you do at that hotel, kind of like I explained before. If it's something lower end that any Filipino could do, they're not probably not going to want to replace that guy, especially since that guy probably works cheap. But you can check if they have a branch. If not, maybe there's another hotel that you could do something for in the Philippines if they need someone from outside the Philippines to come in with a certain level of expertise that they would be have a problem having a local fill that position. That's always the deal because we get all these questions too. Even tonight, people asking about working. How can I get a job there? The thing you have to keep in mind is they're never going to want to replace a local guy with someone from another country. if a local guy can do that job. You always got to keep that in mind. And think about it, would America want a bunch of people come from another country and put the local people out of work? Now, in some ways, America obviously cares less about that, especially since they're bringing in people that will work for a lot cheaper than the Americans would. But here it's going to kind of be the opposite because a foreign guy is going to want a lot more money than a local guy is going to want, probably. So, makes it harder to get a job when you're saying, no, give me 2 or 3 times what you pay that guy, and I'm going to do the same job he did. So
Maybe you could also check with your HR so you could know the possible options for you. But anyways, Urazu has to go to bed. God bless you and Larnie on your relationship, and thank you so much
and he could
for
check with another hotel.
right.
Kenny says you're not going to get a job there. Ah ha ha ha.
By the way, too, Urazu, maybe
Okay.
you don't feel comfortable leaving any personal information. So feel free to maybe send it as a message if you want. So.
But Kenny says you're not going to get a job there. Ha 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 ha. Well, I know where Kenny's coming from.
I'll just charge this.
Yeah, I'm getting a low battery signal. Good thinking. But I know where Kenny's coming from, even if it sounds a little harsh. But that's kind of what I was trying to say earlier in the broadcast. Was, excuse me while I plug this in here. But that's kind of what I was trying to say, but be a little bit delicate about it. I was trying to explain it's possible for people from outside the Philippines to get a job here. That's entirely possible, and I don't want to discourage anyone. But to be realistic about it, it's going to be very difficult. It's possible, and I wouldn't really try and discourage anyone but to be realistic about it, especially for some of the types of jobs that people are asking us about. I wouldn't have your heart set on doing that. It's not real likely. So that's what I've been trying to say. I've been trying to put it in maybe a more delicate way than he's going to do it. But to find a job here, if you're not from here, I mean, heck, even to find a decent job if you are from here. And of course, the big obstacle, kind of like what I mentioned earlier, was you got to have the right type of visa. Otherwise, to begin with, it's simply not legal if you have the wrong type of visa. It's going to be out of the question from a legality standpoint. Now, you could work illegally and take your chances. That's up to you. I wouldn't advise anyone to do it. And I do know when they catch people doing that, they do tend to come down on them fairly hard. Not necessarily with jail time, but you can get. I know they typically threaten, from what I've heard from other people getting caught, they get threatened to be blacklisted from the country, which means they kind of have to leave, and until they pay off the fines and the taxes, they're like on a blacklist where they're not allowed to enter the country again. And now, if that happens, maybe that's not so bad for you, because maybe you think, well, I just won't ever go back to the Philippines if they kick me out, if I can't pay the fees, the penalties, and maybe you're okay, but I wouldn't want to take chances with a lot of that stuff.
Sure, Urazu would not really want that because he also has to take into consideration his loved one, his Filipino girlfriend.
Kenny
So,
also just commented, you'd better take your own money, at least $2,000 a month minimum. Yeah, I would say that's a pretty good recommendation. We talk about some of that in my book. It's hard to put, when people say, how much money do I need a month to live in the Philippines? It's something that you can't give a blanket answer
it's
for
very
because
subjective.
everyone's different. Everyone has
It's
different needs.
It's case to case basis, person to person. Because it depends on what you want for food, the kind of food.
And people have different standards. Some people
Right.
they're eating the cheapest,
The
grossest,
kind,
junkiest food every meal.
the
They don't
place,
mind.
the place where you wanna live, the apartment you wanna rent. Do you want to go to the movies every week?
Yeah,
Stuff like
yeah,
that.
exactly. Which isn't even
Do you
necessarily that much.
do you
But some of these
wanna
people, they're so unrealistic of what they tell other people. Okay, and even on comments on my own videos, Like they'll say, "Oh, I pay $60 a month for rent, and I rent a whole house and stuff." It's like, come on, man. If people are telling you that in YouTube comments, don't believe them. I
Plus,
rent a whole house for $60 a month. Either you have a very unique special deal where maybe you're friends with your
maybe
landlord,
if
or
it's in the province, that seems really very cheap.
even in the
May
province, it seems cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah, not
maybe that
realistic.
person has a special arrangement, like what you said with the owner. So that's a different story. And David King said, I went to school before you were born. I went to school and graduated in 79 and ended with a degree in political science. Wow, cool. That's a major that I also considered. My top majors that I actually considered in college were communication arts, behavioral science, social what's this? I can't even remember. And political science. So right, sociology is the third one, but of course my top, super top, my top choice is communication arts. I love communication. So
Richard says, what I love about Travis is he tells you what like it is. That's also something that I talked about at that speech at UST, and I was trying to explain, since those people that I was giving the speech to, many of them are going into tourism, and I was trying to tell them, don't always just try and paint the perfect picture of the Philippines, especially if you're dealing with people from outside the country, because first of all, they're either going to be very disappointed when they get there because you misled them, or they're going to get hurt because you didn't arm them with the right information. And if you show them a little bit more of the whole picture, even the negative things, the people, Filipinos will hate you for doing that. That's one thing that's for sure with how prideful people are here. But they don't understand the mentality of people from outside the country. They're not going to see it as a negative. They're going to respect you more for being honest with them. And you can still be positive and stuff. Part of being positive is showing the negative and explaining, hey, these are preventive measures, because boy, things are going to be really negative when someone gets taken advantage of or they get hurt. So, but that's a good example of how someone likes, they like being told the truth. And I don't think telling people the truth is necessarily a negative thing.
right. Paul Putnam said, no particular comment or question, just enjoy you both and keep up the good work. I follow on Twitter as well, and that's how I found out your life now.
Oh, wow.
Wow, thank you,
Good thing I
Paul.
posted that on Twitter. Thank you very
Yeah,
much, Paul.
yeah. And let's see.
Flawless Philly, hi.
Hi to you. Lola
Lola,
Wright,
okay.
2,000 a month in Manila is still a lot. I would say 1,200 to 1,500 US dollars. You're referring to that, right?
I wouldn't say 2000's a lot. I'd say you're still middle class. You can definitely spend less than that living in Manila. That's not an issue. But I wouldn't say it's a lot, because a lot, when you phrase it that way, it kind of implies that you're rich. Well, no, $2,000 a month in Manila, that's a middle class person. That's still middle class.
It really depends on the kind of lifestyle that
Yeah.
you prefer.
For some people, 2000, they're going to be like, I can't live off of $2,000 a month in Manila, because maybe what they expect out of life. And one thing I always tell, kind of like how it's hard to answer that question, how much money do you need? Because everyone's different. But one thing I would say for a lot of young people versus older people, I think a lot of older people, and this is really the way it should be in life, you should have a more comfortable and convenient life when you're 50 than when you're 25. So I think everyone's goal, I know my goal is, every year you should be trying to live a little bit better. And I'm not trying to say that you need to live extravagant, but you need a certain level of comfort, and that takes money. You know, maybe, and it might, sometimes it's only a small level of difference in money. Like I know this place that we're currently living, we're only paying about $25 more a month in rent. Maybe not even, maybe like $20 more a month. But it's so much nicer than the other place where we were previous living
Right.
for that small amount of money. So sometimes sometimes it's surprising how much more you can get with just spending just a little bit more money.
Right.
Now, I'm a very frugal person, but one thing I've learned in life is you can't be too cheap, because a lot of the times, most of the times, there's exceptions to the rules, of course, but most of the time you get what you pay for in life. So don't try and live life too cheaply. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes I see people doing is trying to be too cheap. Now, a lot of people, especially in American society, they try and live too large. They try and live too high in the hog, and they buy things they shouldn't be buying, things they can't afford. And this is a message that probably needs to be preached more than ever now because we have Black Friday. Then now they have Small Business Saturday. And then, yeah, that's the new thing. They have Black Friday, then Small Business Saturday, and then Monday. And
it's so commercialized.
yeah,
right?
I don't have a problem with people spending money. Money is something that should be exchanged, and don't worry too much about spending money on every little thing. That's something that I used to have a big problem with.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many people in America that are so excessive, and they spend money they shouldn't spend and buy things they don't really need. Um, so yeah.
Well, for many people, particularly Filipinos in the Philippines, $2,000 a month is already big for many Filipinos. But of
But a lot
course,
of those people don't, they live what would be considered a substandard life in the by American standards.
right,
Also
right,
keep in mind too, a lot of people they come over and then they start families, they get married, they have children, which is a great thing by the way, but you can't plan on, oh, I planned on living off of $800 a month. Oh, well now I want to get married. Oh, and I'm going to want to have children. These are things that you might have to consider depending on who you are and where you are in your life.
right. And David King said, next year I'm going back to the Philippines to go to San Fernando, La Union, and go to Lomar and get degree nursing. That's interesting. Good night to your Yarazu Angel. He said, I agree, it's best to tell the truth and be honest about certain area you travel. Well, good night, guys. Thank you so much for answering my question. It's our pleasure, and a thank you for the super chat.
Um, Here's one. Go-go dancing, Wikipedia, influenced the youth among everything else that was going on. Moral values went downhill with promiscuity, etc. at the time with the help of the entertainment media. Now,
Really? Uh-huh.
he maybe sounds like a prude saying this, but I'm going to agree because I think big things, and you've told me this, I think it's even biblical, how big things come from small things. Now, when you said that to me, you mean that in a positive way, but it also works in a bad way. These things like go-go dancing, maybe you'd look at now, or like let's just you take some of these 70s TV shows like maybe Mary Tyler Moore show, even though I'm
Mm-hmm.
not that familiar with that show. But by today's standards, these are very tame things, but it was kind of the beginning, and where they just keep pushing the boundaries to where you end up with Desperate Housewives. Not that I've ever seen that show, and you end up with these things that kind of brainwash our people in our societies. And we have all these people now, even people like me, that they're adults, and then like eventually something happens where they realize, my God, I've been subjected to propaganda my whole life and I'm brainwashed. So, and it's hard to get that brainwashing out of you even once you realize that you are brainwashed by it. But a lot of these things, they start out very small, and you look at them, like you look at something like go-go dancing now, like you'd be like, that's nothing compared to now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But big things come from small things, both positive and bad, and definitely our entertainment industry, uh, thanks to the thanks to the Harvey Weinsteins of the world, the Kevin Spaceys, uh, the list goes on and on lately. Many of these people admit to it. The Louis C.K.'s. I'm not saying these people are all bad. I'm not saying that they don't have talent,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not saying they can't be entertaining. But definitely, they want to push society in a certain way. Especially Harvey Weinstein, who they said he was looking at actually going into politics on some level, and he was actually in politics because he donates money. He's in the ear of even powerful politicians like the Clintons. He's
Mm-hmm.
in their ear telling them things. They're all buddies. Uh, so But that's a whole thing that you could go on and on about. And I think a lot of these scandals that you look at, because every day there's new scandals in Hollywood where it's like they're turning on each other. I think a lot of that's coming from the internet because people are going to the internet for entertainment. You don't have to go to the movies for entertainment. So I think that people in Hollywood and the more traditional entertainment industry, I think somehow they're sensing that their days are numbered, and the days where we have these multi-million-dollar Hollywood movies, I think they're sensing that there's a finite limit now. The end is near, the end is in sight. So you're seeing people throughout Hollywood turn on each other. Even, decade after some of these allegations go back decades, it's like we never heard about them. But now it's like everyone's like, well, I got to get now while the getting's good before the gravy train runs dry. So you're seeing Hollywood kind of implode right now and turn on itself, which I think for the average person is kind of a good thing.
Right. And just as I have been trying to hold this in my mind when you were talking about like big things for start from small. Also, that is but a simple reminder that we also have to be extra careful with what we feed our minds, and with what we how we respond to things, to anything, to any circumstance, to any comment, to anything. It's very easy to respond in a negative way, especially if what you're responding to is also negative. But we really have to be wise in doing things. So, you know.
I'm just going to try and pull up the stream here. Bear with me for just a
With
second.
what
See
we feed
what
our
it is.
mind and with
Oh,
what
it's pretty much current. There's only like maybe a
do things.
20-second delay.
Any
So,
circumstance, any
but on that note, thank you guys for the super chats. If you want to join our Patreon family and support us that way, you can do it. Like I said, we appreciate this. I do got to get a new computer here sometime in the future. There's other stuff I'm looking at getting to keep serving you guys. But we also have links in the description, those books that I talked about, my own, that other book that I talked about. And also, like I said, the thing that I hate about these live streams, one of the things that I hate is just how the comments, your guys' great comments and stuff, they disappear. So when this uploads as a recording, go ahead and go back and leave a comment so the world can see your thoughts and know of your existence and know that you're out there, part of the Travis Army.
Yeah, we really appreciate your questions, your thoughts that you shared with everyone in the room tonight. And thank you in advance for the reviews, by the way, for those who already read the book and bought the book and read the book. And thank you so much once again to the wonderful people who gave something on Super Chat. Thank you so much, Peter Rocco, Yorazu Angel, and Paul
We have a
Putnam.
question here. How do you donate to your cause? You can see the little dollar sign. It only works while the stream is doing. That's called Super Chat. And you click on that and you can choose an amount. Or if you want, you can sign up for our Patreon, which the link is in the description. I can type it again here in the chat box. Go ahead and talk.
Travis is actually typing the link right now. Aside from the super chatters, how do you call them? Aside from you guys who already shared their support on via super chat, thank you so much to our Patreon family. And the link is now being typed by Travis.
I'm giving both our Patreon, which is probably how I prefer it. But I'm also doing the...
Why is it like that? Is that how you want to type it? I'm trying to...
I'm also giving the PayPal. I'll do that in a separate one.
Yeah,
I can also give the PayPal address. Some people prefer that.
So for Patreon, that's patreon.com/craft. And once again, to all of you who have been supporting us on Patreon, thank you so much because you really help us and keep making videos to entertain, inspire, and inform you guys and all the other viewers around the world. Thank you so much. And let's see. Stan Pryor, thank you. He said, I'm a big fan. Thank you for that. Kenny
I
Rains,
typed it.
you. Good night. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Stan, who just joined we have people still joining the room. Stan says, "How much can you donate?" Well, on Super Chat, I believe there's a limit of $500 on Super Chat. And the Super Chat, you just hit that little dollar sign at the bottom, and that only works while we're live. As soon as I hit the button to cut off it, that disappears. So when you see the recording, they won't see that option. But also Patreon, and also I gave my email address for PayPal if you want to support the channel, which is just contact@traviscraft.com. I know it's been a long time since we've done a live broadcast, but this was a good one, I would say. And something I've actually considered doing. I've considered this actually for months. But I was thinking about, I've had the same YouTube channel for 10 years now. But we love doing live streams. We try and run these like a radio talk show to some extent. Excuse me, I'm thirsty.
He's going to say that I actually hosted a radio show. And is that what you wanted to say? Mm-hmm. I tried to read your mind. And yes, I read his mind right. So this is how we do the live streams. We do it like a radio show. And Travis, can I just share? I think Travis is going to say that he has been thinking about.
Go ahead and tell him.
He has been thinking about creating a new or separate YouTube channel that is dedicated or focused on the live streams only. So that's an idea that we've been trying to contemplate on. And you will know because we'll keep you posted, guys. Watch out for the upcoming videos or vlogs and other live streams. And One Lonely Farmer, when you're coming back to the Philippines, it'll be nice to see you again. And then let's see, David King, maybe you could do it once or twice a month.
Live streams.
Well, thank you for that suggestion, David.
If I started a separate channel, though, I'd probably try and do it like 2 or 3 times a week.
Right.
My throat was dry because all the talking I've been doing. But yeah, I've thought about this actually for months, and it'd be kind of an interesting challenge too. My throat is so dry.
Should I get water?
I'm drinking this.
Stan Pryor, that's really good idea. Thank you.
My throat is getting sore from all the talking.
Stan saying that having a separate channel focused on live streams only is a good idea. And
yeah, it'd be an interesting challenge to try and grow a channel like that only does like. Yeah, you try and run it like a radio broadcast. I've been a huge fan of talk radio for years now. And it's always something I've been interested in. We could try and run it like that. I think we'd have to buy some new stuff, like a better microphone. We're just right now using the built-in on the laptop. So that's something we'd have to kind of invest in, just get a new microphone. Hopefully the internet here in the Philippines works well enough.
Yeah, that's actually one factor.
That often gives us problems.
Right, because there have been times that we tried to do live stream, and then unfortunately they just didn't work. And as much as we didn't want to disappoint you guys and the viewers, that's actually one reason why we don't really post our schedule of an upcoming live stream, because there were times that we just couldn't push through with it because of the internet,
Or sometimes it's not even our internet. Sometimes it's on YouTube's end. YouTube has had live streaming for, I think, 6 or 7 years. Around 2010, I think they released it. But their system is still so full of bugs. It's ridiculous. And I'm not the only one that has these.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to look at the monitor. Hopefully your face is always in the frame.
I'm trying to get since we are just using the built-in microphone, that's actually why I lean forward to talk when I speak. I'm trying to get closer to the microphone in the computer, so I know maybe it looks funnier because I'm coming towards the camera, but
Just want to make sure you're here as well. CEAA, good idea. First time to participate in a live stream, and I'm loving it. The exchange of ideas is interesting and quite entertaining. Thank you so much. We're so happy to hear that. And is there anything else you would like to say,
no,
Travis?
but we planted that seed. I'll keep thinking it over. It would be a lot of work, and this isn't like my job or whatever, so it'd be a lot of work, to do and try and start a new channel, grow it from scratch, grow a channel that only does live streams. But I think it could be an amazing experience too. Um, I love doing the very visual art and stuff, like especially if you look at my older videos. My most popular videos too, they were all made in America, and they tended like my first top two videos. There's no talking in them. I have one video that has 150 million views, and there's not a word said in the video. There's no talking whatsoever. My second most watched video, it has over 6 million views. Also no talking. That's why I was saying a lot of people that they haven't looked at my back catalog of videos, they don't know the evolution of me in this channel, what I did. I used to do completely different types of content. That's why I was saying Evan Cortez watching is kind of a special thing, because no matter what format I was doing, he watched. No matter what country, whether I'm in the US, even these videos I do where there's no talking. But my two most popular videos on this channel have no talking whatsoever. But I think that's part of the reason they can be popular, because you can watch them from anywhere in the world and enjoy them, and it doesn't matter what language you speak, because you get what's going on through the visuals.
Great. Thank you so much for subscribing and for watching. There are a lot of videos that you can check out. Just like what Stan Pio said, he's gonna watch our videos. That's good. Thank you so much. And we would like to say thank you to all of you guys who joined us tonight. If ever we missed thanking you, mentioning your name in particular, I'm sorry, we're sorry, but rest assured that all of you are really appreciated for your time and your thoughts that you shared with us.
Well, I think this is it. My throat's a little sore from all this talking. We didn't really mean to go this long, but we always have so much fun spending time with you. And like I said, your comments are going to disappear. So when this comes up as a recording, stop by and say hi again in the comments, or check out our other videos. Like I said, we had some good videos come out in the past week or two. Say something on one of those.
Right, and if you're not able to start watching this live stream, hopefully the recording is complete. You can still watch from the beginning till the end. And just like what Travis said, try to leave your comments, new comments, because all these comments are going to go away.
Say something on one of those.
Right, and if you're not able to start
just
watching
checking
what's going on right now, yeah.
Okay, well, I think we're heading out. Go ahead. I'll just shut this off when this.
Well,
when this
thank
thing
you so
ends
much,
here.
guys. Till next live stream. God bless you all.
Thanks, guys. Okay, go. And then I'll wait. I'll see when you leave. That's when I'll shut it off. I don't think you need to do this just now. Okay, go. I'll see when you leave. There wasn't much of a delay. See you guys. Bye.